Today we will learn about different phases of embedded product development life cycle EDLC. In the last class we discussed about what is EDLC, why EDLC and what are the objectives of EDLC. Today we will discuss different phases of EDLC. A life cycle of product development is commonly referred as model. Model defines the various phases involved in the life cycle. The number of phases involved in a model may vary according to the complexity of the product under consideration. A typical simple product contains 5 minimal phases, namely requirement analysis, design, development and test, deployment, and maintenance. The classic embedded product lifecycle model contains the following phases: need, conceptualization, analysis, design, development and testing, deployment, support, upgrades, and retirements or disposal. We will discuss each model one by one, phases one by one. First phase is need. Any embedded product evolves as an output of a need. The need may come from an individual, from a public, or from a company. Based on this need for the product, we will create or develop a document or prepare a document. That document is known as statement of need or concept proposal. The concept proposal must be reviewed by the senior management and funding agency and should get necessary approval. After we will get the approval and we will go to the next phase, product development team. The product development needs can be visualized in 3 needs. First one is new or custom product development. The need for a product which does not exist in the market. That means we need to create a new product or a product which acts as a competitor to an existing product in the current market will lead to development of a completely new product. The product can be commercial requirement or an individual requirement or a specific organization requirement. The example of a product act as a competitor in the current market is mobile handset, which is going to develop by a new company apart from the existing manufacturers. Or example of a custom product is PDA tailored for any specific need. So first one is new or custom product development. If the product is not existing in the market, then we will develop a new product. Otherwise, if already existing product, then we will some modification is make and we are used for custom product development. Then second one is product re-engineering. Re-engineering a product is the process of making changes in the existing product design and launching it as a new version. It's also termed as product upgrade. The re-engineering an existing product comes as a result of the following needs: technology upgrades, change in business requirements, and user interface enhancement. Some cases technology changes fastly. At that time we require a new version of the product. Then we are applying product re-engineering. So change in a business requirement and user interface enhancement. In these cases we are going to a product re-engineering. Then third point is product maintenance. This is with providing technical support to the end user for an existing product in the market. There are 2 types of product maintenance. One is corrective maintenance and second one is preventive maintenance. Corrective maintenance means making corrective action following a failure or a non-functioning. A failure can occur due to damage or non-functioning of components or a part of the product. The corrective maintenance replaces them to make the product functional again. Preventive maintenance is used to avoid the failure or non-functioning of the product. Then second phase is conceptualization. Conceptualization is the product concept development phase. It begins immediately after a concept proposal is formally approved. The conceptualization phase defines scope of the product, perform the cost benefit analysis and feasibility study, and prepare project management and risk management plans, and it check whether it is feasible product or how this product can be realized. The conceptualization phase involves two types of activities. One is planning activities and second one is analysis and study activity. The analysis and study activities are performed to understand the opportunity of the product in the market. These are the various activities involved in the conceptualization phase. In the last phase, we prepare a document, concept document or statement of the needs. Then based on that need, here we are planning. There are two activities, main activities are the planning activity and analysis and estimation. In the planning activity, it contains planning for the next phases, resource planning and risk management planning. And in the analysis and estimation, we are identify the cost benefit analysis and feasibility study and product scope. And after analyzing all this, we are giving it to a review and approval committee. So first activity is feasibility study. It examines the need for the product carefully and suggests one or more possible solution to build the needs as a product. Feasibility study analyzes technical feasibility and as well as financial feasibility. Technical feasibility contains technical challenges, limitations, etc. Financial feasibility includes financial requirements, funding, etc. for the product under consideration. Second activity is cost benefit analysis, CBA. It identifies, revealing and assessment the total development cost and profit expected from the product. Some common underlying principle of CBA are illustrated here. Common unit of measurement. It means the main aim of a product is marginal profit, and marginal profit is expressed in terms of a money. So money is taken as a common unit of measurement. So money can be represented by a common currency. It may be a Indian rupee or US dollar. Then second is market choice based benefit measurement. Here ensure that the product cost is justifying the money the end user is spending on the product to purchase for a commercial product. Then third is target end users. For a commercial product, it is very essential to understand the target end users for the product and the taste to give them the best in the industry. Then third point is product scope. The product scopes deal with what is in scope and what is not in the scope. What is in the scope means what are the all functionalities and tasks are considered for the development of the project. What is not in the scope means what all the functionalities and tasks are not considered for the product. Then next is planning activities. It containing various plans required for the product development, such as plan and schedule for executing the next phases following the conceptualization. Then next is resource planning. How many resources should work on the project? Next plan is for risk management. That is the technical and other kinds of risk involved in the work and what are the migration plans, etc. At the end of this conceptualization work, we are preparing a report on analysis and study activities and planning activities. And this report is submitted to the client or project sponsor for review and approval. And it containing some recommendations such as the product is not feasible, then scrap that product. That is, discard that product. The product is feasible, then proceed to the next phase of the product life cycle. The executive committee analyze all these various reports are submitted and will review the same and will communicate the review comments to the official submitted the conceptualization report and will give the green signal to proceed if they are satisfied with the analysis and estimate. That means the product is feasible, then it will proceed to the next phase. The next phase is analysis phase. That is, requirement analysis phase starts immediately after the document submitted during the conceptualization phase is approved by the sponsor of the project. The requirement analysis performed to develop a detailed functional model of the product under consideration. During this requirement analysis phase, the product is defined in details with respect to the input, processes, output and interface at the functional level. The requirement analysis mainly emphasis on what functions must be performed by the product. The various activities performed during the requirement analysis phase are analyze and articulate and document functional and non-functional requirements. Then second activity is define the interfaces and prepare interfaces definition document. And third is define test plan and procedure. Using this analysis, after this analysis, they prepare a document, that requirements specification document. That document is given to a review committee, and based on the review, any rework is required, then rework on that requirements and prepare the final document, requirement specification document. Here first phase is analysis and documentation. The analysis and documentation activity consolidate the business needs of the product under development and analyzes the purpose of the product. It addresses various functional aspects, that is product features and functions, quality attributes, non-functional requirements of the product, defines the functional requirements and connects the functional requirement with the data requirements. Here analysis activities address all business functionalities of the product and develop a logical model describing the fundamental processes and data required to support the functionalities. So here we are specifying all the functionalities of the product and from that we are developing a logical model that describes the functional process and data required to support that functionalities. The various requirements that need to be addressed during the requirement analysis phase are given below. Maintenance requirements, operational requirements, user manuals, data requirements, product external interface requirements, operational and non-operational quality attributes, functional capabilities like performance, operational characteristics, etc. The second phase is interface definition and document. Here embedded product may be a standalone product or it may be a part of a large distributed system. If it is a part of a large distributed system, then the interfaces used here between the product and other product of part of the distributed system. If it is a standalone product, we will use some standard interfaces like serial, parallel interfaces. The interface definition and documentation activity should clearly analyze on the physical interfaces as well as the data exchanged through these interfaces, and it should be documented. It is essential for the proper information flow throughout the life cycle. So interface means the product may be a standalone or part of the large distributed system. So standalone anengil we are using standard interface, serial or parallel interface. Otherwise we are use the interface between the product and the part of the distributed system. Then third point is defining test plans and procedures. It identifies what kind of tests are to be performed and what all should be covered in the testing the product. Define the test procedure, test setup and test environment. it is essential for ensuring the total quality of the product. So, to ensure the total quality of the product, we are performing loads of testing. There are mainly 4 types of testing: unit testing, integration testing, system testing, and user acceptance testing. Unit testing means testing each unit or module of the product independently for required functionality and quality aspects. Integration testing means integrating each modules and testing the integrated unit for required functionality. Then third is system testing. After integration testing, we are performing system testing, testing the functional aspects, product requirements of the product after integration. System testing refers to a set of different tests, and a few among them are usability testing. It tests the usability of the product. Load testing tests the behavior of the product under different loading conditions. Endurance testing, durability test of the product. Performance testing means testing the performance aspect of the product after integration. Smoke testing, non-exhaustive test to ensure that the crucial requirements for the product are functioning properly. This test is not giving importance to the finer details of the different functionalities. Smoke testing means നമ്മൾ ക്രൂഷ്യൽ ആയിട്ടുള്ള എന്തെല്ലാം റിക്വയർമെൻറ്റ്സ് ഉണ്ടോ അതെല്ലാം അത് ആ പ്രൊഡക്റ്റിൻ്റെ അതെല്ലാം ഫങ്ഷൻസ് എല്ലാം പ്രോപ്പറായിട്ട് ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ടോ എന്ന് നോക്കാനാണ് സ്മോക്ക് ടെസ്റ്റിംഗ്. സാനിറ്റി ടെസ്റ്റിംഗ്, സൂപ്പർഫിഷ്യൽ ടെസ്റ്റിംഗ് പെർഫോം ടു എൻഷുർ ദി പ്രൊഡക്റ്റ് ഈസ് ഫങ്ഷനിങ് പ്രോപ്പർലി. Scalability testing, testing the scalability aspect of the product. If the product is scalable or not, that is tested here. Security testing, testing the security aspect of the product. Then last one is user acceptance testing, testing the product to ensure it is meeting all requirements of the end user. What are the requirements given by the end user is meted during this testing. Check whether it is meted or not. At the end, all requirements should be put in a template suggested by the standard process model followed for the quality assurance. This document is referred to as requirement specification document. It is sent out for a review by the client, and client, after reviewing the requirements specification document, communicates back with the review comments. According to the review comments, more requirement analysis may have to be performed and rework required is performed on the initial requirement specification document. അപ്പോൾ എന്തെങ്കിലും റീവർക്ക് ചെയ്യണമെന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ എന്തെങ്കിലും അഡീഷണൽ കമൻറ്റ്സ് വന്നിട്ടുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ അതിൻ്റെ ബേസിൽ റീവർക്ക് ചെയ്തിട്ട് റിക്വയർമെൻറ്റ് സ്പെസിഫിക്കേഷൻ ഡോക്യുമെൻറ്റ് മോഡിഫൈ ചെയ്യും. The next phase is design. Product design phase deals with the entire design of the product, taking the requirements into consideration, and it is focused on how the required functionalities can be delivered to the product. It identifies the application environment and create the overall architecture of the product. Product design starts with a preliminary design or high level design. In the design phase, there are mainly 2 phases. One is preliminary phases and second one is detailed design. Preliminary design establishes the top level architecture of the product. It lists out the various functional blocks required for the product, and it defines the input and output for each functional block. The functional blocks look like black box. That means it only containing inputs and output. So on the completion of the preliminary design document, PDD, is sent for review to the end user or client who comes with a need for the product. If the end user agrees on the preliminary design, the product design team can take the work to next level, detailed design. അപ്പോൾ ഫസ്റ്റ് പ്രിലിമിനറി ഡിസൈൻ ആണ്, അത് ടോപ്പ് ലെവൽ ഡിസൈൻ മാത്രമേ ഉള്ളൂ. ഏതെല്ലാമാണ് ഫങ്ഷണൽ ബ്ലോക്ക് ഏതെല്ലാമാണ് വേണ്ടത്, അതുപോലെ തന്നെ ഇൻപുട്ട് ഏതാണ് ഔട്ട്പുട്ട് ഏതാണ്, അങ്ങനെ നമുക്ക് ഔട്ട്സൈഡിലുള്ളത് മാത്രമേ നമുക്ക് പറയുള്ളൂ. അപ്പോൾ അത് എന്നിട്ട് നമ്മൾ ക്ലയൻറ്റിന് പാസ് ചെയ്യും. ക്ലയൻറ്റ് അത് അക്സെപ്റ്റ് ചെയ്യുകയാണെങ്കിൽ നമ്മൾ ഡീറ്റെയിൽഡ് ഡിസൈനിലേക്ക് പോകും. Then detailed design generate detailed architecture, identifies and lists out the various components for the functional block and the interconnection among the various blocks and the control algorithm requirements. Here various activities involved in the design phases. There are two phases. One is preliminary design and second one is detailed design. After preliminary design, preliminary design document is prepared. Then if it is approved by the reviewer, then it will generate a detailed design. So detailed design containing a detailed design document. Detailed design also need to be reviewed and get approved by the end user or customer. If end user wants modification on the design, it can be informed to the design team through a review comments. An embedded product is a real mix of hardware, software and enclosure. Hence, the both preliminary design and detailed design should take the design of this into the consideration. And this is the preliminary design illustration. Here, each block is represented here, block 1, block 2, block etc. block n, and here each block is represented as a modules. So each modules are independent, and here C represents constraints and A represents assumption, and here we are giving the input and output. So നമുക്ക് എന്തെല്ലാം ഇൻപുട്ട് ഔട്ട്പുട്ട് അതുപോലെ കൺസ്ട്രെയിൻറ്റ് അസംഷൻസ് മാത്രമേ ഇവിടെ അറിയാൻ പറ്റുള്ളൂ പ്രിലിമിനറി ഡിസൈൻ. ബട്ട് ഇൻ ഡീറ്റെയിൽഡ് ഡിസൈൻ each module containing components C1 and C2, that are the component, and what are the interconnection between that components. M1 represents the module 1 and M2 represents the module 2, and there is a interconnection between the module 1 and module 2, and it also containing constraints, assumptions and input and output. So here it containing each functionalities in detail. The next phase, fifth phase, is development and testing. It transforms the design into a realizable product. For this, the detailed specification generated during the design phase are translated into hardware and firmware. During the development phase, the installation and setting up of various development tools is performed. The product hardware and firmware is developed using different tools and is associated product setup. The development activities can be partitioned into 3: embedded hardware development, embedded firmware development and product enclosure development. The embedded hardware development is the development of the component placement platform, that is PCB using CAD tools and its fabrication using CAM tools. Firmware development is performed using the firmware development tools, and product enclosure development is the mechanical enclosure is performed with the CAD tools like SolidWorks, AutoCAD, etc. The testing phase can be divided into independent testing of firmware and hardware, that is unit testing. Testing of the product after integrating the firmware and hardware, that is integration testing. The testing of the whole system on a functionality and non-functionality basis is known as system testing. And testing of the product against all acceptance criteria mentioned by client and end user for each functionality is known as user acceptance testing. The system testing follows the integration testing. It is a set of various tests for functional and non-functional requirement verification. During the user acceptance testing, the product is tested against the acceptance value set by the customer or end user for each requirement. The deliverable from the design and testing phases are firmware source code, firmware binaries, finished hardware, various test plan, test cases and test reports. The various test plans are hardware and firmware unit test plans, integration test plan, system test plan, and acceptance test plan. Test cases are hardware and firmware unit test cases, integration test cases, system test cases, and acceptance test cases. And test reports are hardware and firmware unit test report, integration test report, system test report, and acceptance reports. Then next phase is deployment. Deployment is the process of launching the first fully functional model of the product in the market, or handovering the fully functional initial model to the end user or client. It is known as first customer shipping, FCS. During this phase, the product modification as per the various integration tests are implemented and the product is made operational in the production environment. The deployment phase is initiated after the system is tested and accepted by the end user. The important tasks performed during the deployment phases are here. First one is notification of the product development. Whenever the product is ready to launch in the market, the launching ceremony details should be communicated to the stakeholders and to the public if it is a commercial product. The notification can be sent out through email, media, etc. It containing some deployment schedule, that is date, time and venue, and it containing target end users, brief description about the product support information including the support person name, contact number, contact mail ID, etc. and extra features support with respect to the existing product. And second point is execution of training plan. Proper training should be given to the end user to get them acquainted with the new product. If they get a proper training, then it will reduce the possible damages to the product as well as the operating person. There is also containing user manual will help in understanding the product, its usage and accessing its functionalities to certain extent. Then third point is product installation. Install the product as per the installation document to ensure that it is fully functional. These are the deployment activities. And last one is product post implementation review. Once a product is launched in the market, conducts a post implementation review to determine the success of the product. In this post implementation review, main aim is to document the problems faced during installation and the solutions adopted to overcome them, which will act as a reference document for the future product development. It also helps in understanding the customer needs and the expectation of the customer on the next version of the product. So, നമുക്ക് പ്രോഡക്റ്റ് പോസ്റ്റ് ഇംപ്ലിമെൻറ്റേഷൻ റിവ്യൂ, നമ്മളൊരു പ്രൊഡക്റ്റ് ലോഞ്ച് ചെയ്ത ശേഷം, മാർക്കറ്റിൽ ലോഞ്ച് ശേഷം എന്തെല്ലാം അതിന് ഡിഫിക്കൽട്ടീസ് പ്രോബ്ലം ഓക്കർ ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ട്, അതിൻ്റെ എന്തെല്ലാമാണ് അത് ഓവർകം ചെയ്യുക, എന്തെല്ലാം സൊല്യൂഷൻ ഉണ്ട്, അതിനെല്ലാം വെച്ചിട്ട് ഒരു ഡോക്യുമെൻറ്റ് പ്രിപ്പയർ ചെയ്യും. ദെൻ അതാണ് നെക്സ്റ്റ് നമ്മൾ നെക്സ്റ്റ് വേർഷനിൽ നമ്മൾ ഇംപ്ലിമെൻറ്റ് ചെയ്യുക. Then next is support. Support phase deals with the operation and maintenance of the product in a production environment. During these phases, there may be a chance of bugs in the product may be observed and reported during the operation phases. So, support should be provided to the end user or client to fix these bugs in the product. So, this phase ensures that the product meets the user needs and it continues functioning in the product and production environment. അപ്പോൾ എന്തെങ്കിലും ബഗ്സ് എല്ലാം ഉണ്ടെങ്കിൽ, എറേഴ്സ് ഉണ്ടെങ്കിൽ അത് കറക്റ്റ് ചെയ്യാനെല്ലാമാണ് സപ്പോർട്ട് യൂസ് ചെയ്യുന്നത്. Then the various activities involved in the support phase are set up a dedicated support wing, and second one, identify the bugs and area of improvement. So, the availability of certain embedded products in terms of product functioning in a production environment is crucial, and they may require 24/7 support in case of product failure or malfunctioning. ചില കേസസിൽ ഇപ്പം ഫോർ എക്സാമ്പിൾ പേഷ്യൻ്റ് മോണിറ്ററിംഗ് സിസ്റ്റം യൂസ്ഡ് ഇൻ ഹോസ്പിറ്റൽ ഇസ് എ വെരി ക്രൂഷ്യൽ പ്രൊഡക്റ്റ് ഇൻ ടേംസ് ഓഫ് ഫങ്ഷനിങ് and any malfunctioning of the product requires immediate technical attention and support from the suppliers. അപ്പം മെഡിക്കൽ എല്ലാം ആയിട്ടുള്ള കേസസിൽ 24/7 സപ്പോർട്ട് എപ്പോഴും വേണം. അപ്പോൾ അങ്ങനെയുള്ളത് സെറ്റപ്പ് ചെയ്യുക, അതാണ് മെയിൻ ഫസ്റ്റ് ആക്ടിവിറ്റീസ്. ദാറ്റ് ഈസ് സെറ്റപ്പ് എ ഡെഡിക്കേറ്റഡ് സപ്പോർട്ട് വിങ്. ദെൻ സെക്കൻഡ്, ഐഡൻറ്റിഫൈ ദി ബഗ്സ് ആൻഡ് ഏരിയ ഓഫ് improvement. So it is essential to stay connected with the end users and know their needs for the survival of the product. So give an end user a chance to express their views of the product and suggestion if any. In terms of modification is required or feature enhancement through the user feedback. Then conduct product specific surveys or collects as much as data as possible from the end users. അപ്പോൾ നമ്മൾ എന്തെങ്കിലും ബഗ്സ് ഉണ്ടെങ്കിൽ എപ്പോഴും എൻഡ് യൂസേഴ്സുമായിട്ട് കോൺടാക്ട് ചെയ്യുക, എന്തെങ്കിലും ബഗ്സ് ഉണ്ടെങ്കിൽ അത് ഐഡൻറ്റിഫൈ ചെയ്യുക, എവിടെയെങ്കിലും ഇമ്പ്രൂവ്മെൻറ്റ് വേണമെന്ന് ഫീഡ്ബാക്ക് വഴി സജഷൻ ചോദിക്കുക, ഈ ഫീഡ്ബാക്ക് കിട്ടുവാണെങ്കിൽ അതിനനുസരിച്ച് ഇമ്പ്രൂവ് ചെയ്യുക. അപ്പോൾ ഒരു പ്രൊഡക്റ്റ് ന്യൂ പ്രൊഡക്റ്റ് ഇംപ്ലിമെൻറ്റ് ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ നമ്മളിതെല്ലാം ശ്രദ്ധിക്കാറുണ്ട്. Then last one is upgrade. Upgrade phase of the product development deals with the development of upgrade or new versions for the product which is already present in the market. Upgrade result as the output of major bug fixes and feature enhancement requirement from the end users. So if any modification is required or clear any bugs, then we will use upgrades that system. So for an embedded product, the upgrade may be for the product resident firmware or for the hardware. If it is some bugs may be easily fixed by modifying the firmware, then it is known as firmware upgradation. If any feature enhancement is also performed easily by mere firmware modification. Also, if we fix a bugs in a hardware, then it is hardware upgradation. And we can modify the hardware also or replace a hardware. Then last phase, retirement or disposal. The disposition of the product is essential due to the main reasons are rapid technological advancement and increased user need. Due to increased user needs and revolutionary technological change, a product cannot sustain in the market for a long time. So it has to be disposed on the right time before it causes the losses. So the disposal or retirement of a product is a gradual process and also the final phase in the product life cycle where the product is declared as obsolete and discontinued from the market due to the availability of another powerful technology or components. ഇപ്പോൾ നമ്മുടെ എക്സിസ്റ്റിങ്ങിന് നമുക്കറിയാം ടെക്നോളജി ചേഞ്ച് ചെയ്തുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുകയാണ്. അപ്പോൾ യൂസറിൻ്റെ റിക്വയർമെൻറ്റ്സ് അനുസരിച്ചും അതുപോലെ ടെക്നോളജി ചേഞ്ച് അനുസരിച്ചും നമ്മൾ എന്ത് ചെയ്യും, എക്സിസ്റ്റിംഗ് സിസ്റ്റം മാച്ച് ചെയ്യുന്നില്ലെങ്കിൽ പ്രൊഡക്റ്റ് മാച്ച് ചെയ്യുന്നില്ലെങ്കിൽ അതിനെ ഡിസ്പോസ് ചെയ്തിട്ട് നമ്മൾ ന്യൂ വേർഷൻ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ന്യൂ പ്രൊഡക്റ്റ് ഡെവലപ്പ് ചെയ്യും. ദറ്റ് ഈസ് ഡിസ്പോസൽ ആൻഡ് റിട്ടയർമെൻറ്റ്. And some of the previous year questions state the different phases of embedded product development life cycle and explain briefly the functions of each phase. 12-mark question, explain the need for product re-engineering in embedded product development and what are the factors that lead to disposal of embedded product and explain various types of testing performed in the embedded product development. This is the end of this section.